Hi, Siri. I'm looking for a new podcast, one that preferably is hosted by a UF Hall of Famer, one that airs every weekday that would bring me everything I need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions. Siri, is there such a show?
Have you heard of PodUp with Matthews in the morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform?
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm going to go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Wednesday, we'll have JC. We're going to have John Clay from the Lexington Herald Leader talking about the Cats. That game is this evening, I think at 8 o'clock on ESPN. Going to be tough to win in rough, but anything can happen. You missed it last night, 2 upsets in college basketball. North Carolina, who's like number 3 in America, got beat at Georgia Tech. And then South Carolina beats Tennessee in Rocky Top. They're rolling for sure. Pedro already asked a question. What's the status of Miskell and Jean for this season? I think you're talking about Aiden Mizell and Andy Jean. They were both redshirted, I believe, so they should be ready to roll. JC will be joining us here momentarily. We'll do a Peachland Dental picks of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am as well. Hunter Stallions is tuning in here on YouTube. He says, UF scored 11 versus Utah, 22 versus Charlotte, 14 versus Kentucky, 20 versus Georgia, 15. So the offense was one of Florida's problem. Hunter Stallions. Let's take this example, okay? Because I know these people get upset with me when I talk about we don't need offensive coordinator. Ben Johnson, who's one of the best play callers in football, did you know that the Detroit Lions pretty much had 40 yards in the entire third quarter? Let me check with Alabama. I think they struggled against Michigan for one half. People have to look at the big picture. Every team, the Kansas City Chiefs stunk it up on offense. Does that mean they're not very good? You're not going to score a bunch of points every game. You're living in la-la land, buddy. You're living in la-la land. JC, you're late again.
You guys, I got to get ready to go to the airport, QB.
What time's your flight, JC?
10 o'clock.
You got plenty of time. At this airport, you just got to get there by 9.
Yeah, no, I know, but there's all kinds of preparations with the dog and this and that. It's chaos.
All right, we won't keep you long.
But what's this big argument about this? Yesterday, I heard you and Buddy go on and on.
Well, because these people still think we need an offensive coordinator. What makes people think if you hire an offensive coordinator, you're going to put up 50 points a game? That's my problem. People do not understand.
I don't know if 50 points a game was enough last year.
Exactly. But there were. Let me just ask you this honest question, JC. Yeah. Were there times when you watched your team that went to the 14 playoff that you were upset at their offense?
Oh, I mean, that's just part of the season.
That's my point. The point is I've never in my entire life, I'm 53, I've been part of football since I was 5 years old. Nobody plays a perfect game in football. Has anybody ever thrown a perfect game, called a perfect game? No, it doesn't happen. It only happens in baseball. So my point is, and people, I can't tell you how many people, Shane doesn't think people know. Well, look, I know football. I don't know a whole lot. You may think you know football because you play Madden, okay? But if you've never done it, don't sit here and try to tell me this should happen or that should happen, because that's the facts. It's just like JC. I'm not going to go sit at your office and try to tell somebody how to invest their money. That's not my expertise. But everybody thinks they're expertise at calling plays.
Well, are they impatient with the coach's play calling skills?
No, my whole point of the story is we're talking about the Gators. Everybody still thinks Billy needs an offensive coordinator. Okay, if Billy hires an offensive coordinator and we score 11 points against Miami, what good did the damn new offensive coordinator do? I'm just telling you that I watched the best players in the world with some of the best play callers in the world struggle on offense this past weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I know that. I think they're just frustrated at the and I'm just guessing here, QB, because I'm on your corner as far as this offense goes. But I think folks have gotten frustrated with Billy, just period. And his area of the ball is the offensive side of the ball. I think it's more about Billy than it is anything else. I think they think he's overwhelmed. QB. You think there's
yeah, that's what everybody uses that. I see. I disagree with that.
You don't agree with that?
And everybody thinks I'm crazy, but I've said in meetings, I've said in teams, I've been on the sideline. And this McQueen talks about, you said yesterday that special teams is handled by a committee of coaches. That is absolutely true. If they are failing to do that, I do blame Billy. Billy has the blame because he is the head coach. But what I'm trying to tell you is that Mike Peterson, Billy Gonzalez, Corey Raymond, who's no longer here, they all coach special teams. I would love for people to be able to come watch practice because think about this, JC.
All right.
You go to special teams period. It's punt period, okay? You pretty much got the whole team over there except offensive linemen and quarterbacks, okay? So if you're coaching the wide receivers and all your receivers over there on the punt as gunners, you're just going to go over there and sit on your ass and watch, play with your phone and do nothing. No, you're over there coaching because that's part of of your job. That's what just blows my freaking mind. But people can't go watch practice. And even if they did go practice, all they worry about is who threw the more touchdowns because they don't look at the body of work of a football team.
Well, there's also
bottom line is I do not think we're getting an offensive coordinator. And even if we do, Billy is calling the plays, people. And again, you can tell me how many points we scored in these games. And I agree. Can it be more explosive? Yes. But the bottom line is Florida lost majority of their games last year because of freaking defense and special teams. Bang.
Yeah, a lot of there seem to be a lot of issues there. But I guess it's one of the things that frustrates people like I think Buddy's talked about this, Buddy Martin. He says, we just don't hear much from this staff. So
it's not their job to talk to the media and tell them what's going on.
But see, on the media side of it, the only way fans get to know what's going on is through the media, right? So if the coaches aren't sharing information with the media and the media therefore cannot share that with fans, you're going to get this kind of response.
Yeah. So, all right, we're moving on.
You don't care about that. That doesn't matter to you.
It doesn't because the media, so are we going to sit up there, if you're the Department of Defense, get up there and tell them we're going to blow up this country? Do you think the people need to hear that? No. We're not going to come up there and tell you what we're doing. I mean, has any coach ever done that? Has any coach ever done it?
No, I guess, you got some staffs that are media friendly, some that aren't, but I guess there's just an overall frustration, QB. And,
right, but the frustration I get is because people, just because we won 5 games and people think Billy made a couple bad play calls. Let me ask you this. I was thinking about this. None of our people here are Detroit Lions fans, but Detroit was just do you remember when they ran the flea flicker the other day in the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
And Goff had to struggle and threw it away. Okay.
Right. Yes.
Was that a bad play call? No, I think it was a great play call because it didn't work. People think it was a terrible play call. So look, I can argue with people all they want on this show. You have your opinion. I have mine. But I will say this. I feel like I'm not trying to say I'm better than you or whatever, but we're talking about people's expertise compared to people who are a fan who plays Madden football. JC, do you play Madden?
Hell no. The last video game I played was that game that had the 2 white lines that go up and down. And the ball went across.
Ping pong or something like that?
It was on an Atari system. Remember that one?
Yeah.
I just don't.
All right, JC, I saw this. And I think you're aware of this because you're on a text feed, but I screenshot it. This is somewhat fascinating. Out of all the Super Bowls that have been played, with the Chiefs and the 49ers not having one player from Alabama, a remarkable streak will continue. No player who finished their college career at Alabama has scored a point in the Super Bowl. Players from 143 other colleges and the Coast Guard have scored in the Super Bowl.
Now, this was before the Super Bowl, but Bart Starr did score a touchdown in a championship game against the Dallas. Well,
a championship game.
It was in the Ice Bowl. Well, I think back then that's all they had, the Ice Bowl, right? The Cowboys and the Packers. But then Super Bowl I happened in Los Angeles, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's where it was, between Green Bay and the Raiders. And no, I don't think that's. I think that's right. It's kind of surprising. Now, Kenny Stabler threw for one. Joe Namath threw for one. You know, we've had that, but it is kind of an interesting little.
It's very, very, very interesting. I talked about it at the beginning. South Carolina with a big win on the road at Tennessee.
Oh my God! Look out,
then,
man! Paris Lamb is he is going to be the coach of the year, QB.
What did you call him?
Isn't his name Paris Lamb?
No.
What is his name? Did I get it wrong?
Yeah, you got it wrong. But anyway, I don't know. Did you watch the Egg Bowl basketball game?
I thought it was Paris Lamb. I did until I fell asleep, QB.
It's Paris something.
Yeah, I thought.
Ole Miss won a thriller.
Yeah, at home. Yeah,
you're talking about up and down, boy. It was a fun game to watch. It's a big game when Morgan Freeman rolls into the gym.
He was wearing his blue, and it was a big night in Oxford. It's hard to win on the road in this league, which is why I'm so impressed with what South Carolina was able to do. And Tennessee, maybe I was wrong about them. They looked one-dimensional. One guy played basically and scored, and that was Dalton Connect, and the rest of them didn't do a thing. I'm very surprised by what South Carolina was able to pull off, and maybe they're one of the teams in the top tier, along with the other two, Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee. But then Auburn goes and loses 2 road games to Alabama, Mississippi State. This is the league we have, and I think that's why you're going to see 7 or 8 teams.
Lamont Parrish is his name.
Lamont Parrish. What I call him? Paris Lamb.
I don't know what you call him.
It's Lamont. Okay, Paris. Lamont Parrish. It's I've got to get to the Bahamas this morning. I'm not thinking. But
yeah, we're going to get you out of here in a minute. Daryl says on the Titan More text line, hopefully we can hang with Kentucky and not get blown out. I think we match up. Good with Kentucky. It's going to be a track meet. Is what it's going to be.
I know you
we'll
love
talk with John Clay about it a little bit later.
Yeah, I mean, I think Florida could stick with them. I mean, I don't think they've blown everybody out that they've played up there in Rupp Arena. Florida's a big road trip, though. This thing with Texas A&M as well is a winnable game. Texas A&M lost to Ole Miss at home this year already. They've lost, so there's opportunity out there. I think as we get through February, we're going to really find out what the story is going to be, of course. So it's tough in this league, man. It is so tough, but February is going to separate. I think
it's college basketball. North Carolina lost to Georgia Tech.
Oh, they lost to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, but that's basketball, man.
That's right. Basketball. It's how it is.
Yep. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. We're going to do our Pebble Beach Pro-Am picks. JC, are you ready?
Oh boy. Okay, let me pull it up. QB, you shouldn't lose your mind over this silly offensive coordinator.
I don't lose my mind. I think it's funny that these people think that they know what should happen. I mean, it's just like it's like we should be calling the head physician over at Shands and telling him, this is what you should do, buddy.
Maybe they just want something different, QB.
Well, like I said, I understand their frustrations, but offense was not the reason we gave it a historical amount of yards the entire year.
And if Mertz plays against Florida State and doesn't get hurt in the Missouri game, they probably win that game. I think the offense is not my biggest issue, and certainly I think you've pointed out very well what the issues are, and they've got to be fixed. Now, listen, he's hired some people to come in on this staff. We've talked about the staff.
He's hired new strength coach. He's hired new defensive coaches. Everybody's bitching about that. Nobody's happy about that.
You got to hire these people. I mean, you got to get these guys.
Yeah. So
I just don't want to go through the same thing as last year. That's all.
Well, I mean, I don't either. But you got the hardest schedule in the history of football. Whatever happens. But these people, they need to go start. They need a hobby. They need to learn how to play golf or go fish or hunt or something. Take their mind off stuff.
Yes, but QB, on this show we talk about this. We don't talk about fishing and hobbies. Okay, maybe they do have hobbies. They just want to vent to you.
Go build a model airplane.
QB, you wouldn't make a good psych doctor. You would not make a good shrink.
No, because I try to give facts. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your butt.
So,
Jason.
sir, you're just an idiot. You're just screwed up, sir. Here's your bill. Get out of
Well,
here.
JC, I'll never forget, and you be tell the truth here. When I was helping coach high school football, you saw the plays and you were like, how do these kids even know what to do?
I know. It is true. You got to line them up, man. Let's go with this is one of those tournaments that it's just throwing darts at a board here. I forgot to look at this roster to see who really plays Pebble Beach well, because it's a very different type of course. But I think Patrick Cantlay will be good on this course. I'm going to take him. This is Pebble Beach. We all know about it. I like these guys from the West Coast to play this course.
I'm going to take Victor Hovland.
Okay, Victor Hovland's a very good pick. I'm going to take the guy who I think might be in it might be in his group. Teeing off at the same time, and that's Max Homa. I like Max Homa out west in Pebble Beach. Max Homa for me.
Give me Ludwig Aberg.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, you got that one out pretty good. I'm going to go with the guy who's playing well out there, Tony Finau. He's had a good run out in California. He's done well. I'm going to stick with him.
I think you got all Californians on your team.
Well, I do. And I might pick one more Californian.
Are we picking 4?
Yeah, might as well.
All right. Well, I will take. Is Tom Kim in this tournament?
Oh,
yes. Ju Young's in it. I'll take Tom Kim. He's going to have a great week because he's going to his amateurs are going to love playing with him.
They are. They're going to think he's funny. Give me Morikawa. Give me Morikawa, the Cal Bear. This is his country right here, territory. I'm sure he's quite familiar with everything out there. Yeah, I think he's comfortable in this area. Colin Morikawa. He played at Cal.
I need to take an American, don't I?
You really do, QB. I don't know what you got against American golfers.
I don't have anything against them. I was trying to
take your boy X. Take your X-Man.
I will. I'm going to take the X-Man.
Yeah, he played well down at La Costa. Of course, that's his home course. But I don't see why he wouldn't play well at Pebble if the weather's good. I don't know. But I'm going to miss everybody on Friday. Sorry about that. I'm going to be out of the country. I'll see you back on Monday if I survive this trip. God willing.
JC, are you worried? I saw the
I don't. Yeah,
nightly news about a lot of issues going on over there.
The travel advisory. If it had been level 3, I wouldn't go.
I thought it was a level 3.
No, it's a level 2 travel advisory, and you can look that up. But that's okay. I think we're fine. We're going to stay. I'm going to stay on the island. I'm not messing around inland or on the main island. Not going to the fish fry. It's just not something I want to risk or do. But Joe Lawson, our man at Peachland Dental, thanks for the text. Sorry, we're going to miss you this year, Joe. He's our Peachland Dental sponsor. He just sent me a text. I played with him at Bahamas. It's when I met him. It's where I met him. And he's been a great sponsor and supporter of our show. And we love you, Joe. And keep it going down there in Punta Gorda as you recover from the hurricane and storms from a couple summers ago. So best of luck to you. We will see you soon, maybe at the Mississippi Masters, Joe. I think he's going to try to make that one QB. So we'll do that.
Okay. All right, JC, safe travels. We'll talk to you soon, my man.
Adios, America.
Maybe JC will be back. Maybe he won't. You never know. All right. Shelvin says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mello. If I believe regarding our offense and Billy's plan is accurate, in spite of a tough schedule, we should put up points because likely only 3 defenses we will face be top tier. All others should be average at best. If offense is the issue, pile up yards. I agree with that. I do agree with that. I thought from about the 4th game on, I thought the offense played really well. Well enough to win games. The first few games, no. I have no problem with Billy calling plays. I would like for him to take more chances down the field. Other than that, defense is your problem, people. Defense. Historical numbers. Even if we would have scored 50 a game, we would have lost them. So I don't know. Everybody wants to know. Tony says we need 3 offensive line coaches. That's possible. Possible for sure. Radware is a family-owned business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. We're going to have John Clay from the Lexington Herald Leader talk about the Wildcats Gators game tonight at 8 o'clock on ESPN. Should be a good one. Boy, if we could steal a win there, wouldn't that be something? It's hard to win at Rupp though. And Kentucky's they lost at South Carolina. They won an ugly game at Arkansas this past weekend. They haven't been playing great lately. So hopefully they don't start back tonight. Russell on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plum says, Shane, I am late to the party this morning, but I am beginning to think that all these questions about the Gator OC are coming from Buddy Martin's burner accounts. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, even if we hire an offensive coordinator, it's not Billy's gonna call the plays. So Connor says after going 4-8, Billy will be gone by. Maybe he will. Maybe Connor needs to root for another team. You're Debbie Downer, buddy, whoever you are. Christopher says fix the defense and the O-line and we will be fine. I agree that offensive line play was terrible last year at times. Anyway, Ricky Pearsall is looking good supposedly over at the Senior Bowl. In my opinion, he's one of the top 10 receivers to ever play at Florida. I don't know where I'd put him, but I think he's that good. Rodney says no more trick plays, please. See, I disagree with that. I love trick plays. They just didn't work. Just like I said, the Detroit Lions called one. They called two, I think, the other night. Neither one of them worked. So, of course, they're terrible play calls when they don't work. I remember when we run trick plays under Coach Spurrier, they didn't work. We'd be like, dang, we should call it a different time. But that's part of it. Andy on Facebook Live says, I think injuries and lack of talent was O-line issues. I may be wrong, but I thought our O-line was one of the best the year before. It was pretty good, but you had Osiris Torrance, who was just he was the mainstay in there. He's an All-American. I mean, the guy played every freaking snap for the Buffalo Bills. That doesn't happen in the National Football League. So I'm not sitting here taking up for Billy Napier or his staff or anything. I'm just telling you what I see and what I've been around for 48 years of my life in football. Not that I knew much was going on when I was out there at 5 years old, but Tim says we had a college football team win a first-time natty in 42 years. Now an NFL team, first time in 32 years. What does that mean? And the NFL teams, the Chiefs are going for back-to-back. I don't know what that meant. So anyway, we got a tech. Wally Gator says, take the train, Connor. Yeah, y'all get Connor out of here. Yeah, Connor needs to find another team to pull for. Yeah, I mean, you can bitch and complain all you want. There's nothing you can do about it. That's what I try to tell people. There's not a damn thing you can do about it. Clint says, the offense will be much improved next year with or without an OC. I predict Graham Mertz will be a top 3 quarterback next. Yeah, I mean, Graham was a top 3 probably this year in the league. He had a hell of a year. So there. Andy says, Shane, didn't you catch a pass on a trick play that the HPC called? Yeah, I scored against Kentucky in 91. I ran one in, threw a couple, and caught one. It was wide open. But we called trick plays that didn't work too. But people don't remember that. And majority of these people that are bitching and complaining, I'm guessing they're in their 30s or 40s. So text on the Titan More text line. If we were winning, all this OC play calling would be irrelevant. Yeah. Yeah. If you win those games, I mean, think about it. As I've said many times, every team can say if this would have happened or that would have happened. But honestly, they should have won the Arkansas and the Missouri game. And but we can't rehash that. You are what you are. And all you can do is be supportive, quit your bitching and complaining, and hopefully to win games next year. Christopher says 4 wides. Wilson, Hawkins, Mizell, and Andy Jean. Well, we don't really line up in 10 personnel. We never have, by the way. I'm good with 11 personnel. 11 personnel is my favorite formation. So I'm good with that. So, yeah, I hope they release, let Andy Jean and Mizell play. Hawkins is the new kid, I think. I don't know much about him, but I love those 3 other freshmen. And hopefully the additions on defense help this year as well. Let's get to this day in sports. I meant to do this one with JC when he's here, but he's panicking to get on a plane. He hates to fly. This day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. 1988 Super Bowl at Jack Murphy Stadium. I think it's still there. I don't know if they tore it down or not. The Redskins beat the Denver Broncos 42-10. Your MVP was Doug Williams, QB for the Redskins. I want to say the Broncos, I think Ricky Nattil caught a touchdown pass, like the first play of the game or something in that one. And then the Redskins and the Hogs just buried the Broncos. So that's This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. And he says Hawkins will be the fastest guy on the team. Let's get him out there. Joseph says if defense is no better, maybe Billy needs to swap sides on the ball. He's the head coach, got to quit making excuses. I'm not making excuses. Look, he hired those guys. I would have cleaned house because I'm a big believer in you got to have good people around you. Obviously, a lot of those guys did not do their jobs, or you would not have 12 guys on the field, the same numbers on the field. That just blows my mind. West says Missouri had 3 losing seasons and a pretty good season this past year. A little more patience, Gator fans. Yeah, I mean, people are not very patient, and I understand. I want to win as bad as anybody. But next year will be difficult. But the beginning, we can win some of those games for sure. And then you never know what happens with injuries. And you still got to play the freaking game. Andy says, now that Ben Johnson staying in Detroit, does Dan Quinn get the that's crazy. He had opportunities to be a head coach last year. He turned them down. He's turned down a couple this year. I don't know what he's waiting on. That's nuts. I had a buddy tell me that they thought it was a done deal in Washington. He's a heck of a play caller, though. But he lost a game. He lost the NFC Championship game. Had a couple bad play calls, so maybe he's not a very good play caller anymore. I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah, I forgot Hawkins. That's that kid coming in. It's going to be the fastest guy. Michael says on YouTube, brought to you by Qualify, I think that it's it with the trick plays Billy has called. It isn't the trick plays themselves. It is the timing or when he calls them. Agree and disagree with that, Michael. If you listen to me in the calling the game, I try to call it as if I was calling plays or Coach Spurrier was calling plays. I'm all about trick plays at a certain time, certain spot on the field. The problem with they just didn't work. The one interception, the double pass that Khalil Jackson floated was wide open. If anybody else if he throws it probably how he did in practice, it's completed. But he caught it and he waited and waited and he fluttered it down there like he was at Hawthorne. So anyway, I have John Clay here in just a second. We're going to take a timeout right now. We'll come back. We'll be joined by John Clay talking Kentucky basketball. If you got any questions on the Big Blue Nation, we'll even ask him a couple of football questions. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Duffield Home Improvements for your window, siding, and roofing needs. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Going back to the Titan Number Hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements, we're joined by John Clay from the Lexington Herald Leader. Good morning, John. Appreciate you taking time, my man. How are you?
I'm doing great, Shane. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, big game tonight in Rupp Arena. Rolling in. Kentucky they lost last week at South Carolina. Then they went to Arkansas. Didn't play great, but they found a way to win the game. Are they struggling on the road like a lot of teams are in the SEC? I guess besides South Carolina, a big win for them last night. But it's still a young team that Calipari has, right?
Yeah, obviously he's kind of gone back. I like to say he's gone back to the future, Shane. He's gone back to playing with a lot of really talented freshman players. They do have a couple of older players in Trey Mitchell and Antonio Reeves. And Antonio's playing, both those guys are playing really well right now, but they're mainly made up of, those top tier freshmen, another like number one ranked freshman class. They did have trouble last week at South Carolina, but as we saw last night when South Carolina beat Tennessee, South Carolina's playing really well right now. Then they went to Arkansas. Arkansas is a total mess. Eric Musselman, Devo Davis quit the team, right before the game or the day before the game at Arkansas. They've really struggled. Kentucky struggled in that game, but as you mentioned, they found a way to win. When they played their SEC opener was at Florida, and that was a struggle right down to the end when they were able to pull that game out. So yeah, they're a young team, a little bit up and down. They got to get better defensively. That's the big thing. They thought they played better defensively against Arkansas. We'll see how they do tonight.
Yeah, they're very similar to Florida. They can get up and down the floor and score the basketball, but not great on the defensive end. Andy got a question for you here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. Is Reed Shepherd the most polished freshman you've seen come through Lexington?
He certainly is in a long time. I mean, of course, people probably know Reed's background. His dad was Jeff Shepherd, who was the most valuable player in the 1998 Final Four when Kentucky won. And then his mom, Stacy Reed, was a great high school player in Kentucky, played for the women's team at UK, played well there. Cal likes to make Reed's got a lot of steals this year. Cal likes to make the joke that he gets that from his mother, that all Jeff did was shoot. He didn't do anything besides shoot, where Stacy was more of a complete player. But yeah, the thing that's really impressed me about Reed, he's a basketball player. He sees the floor. He has really good instincts. He's a really good passer. And as I said, he had 4 steals in the game against Arkansas on Saturday. He has some trouble staying in front of the guys guarding on defense, but he's got, as Cal said it, he may have the best hands of any player he's ever coached. So he got a lot of hype coming in here because he's kind of a legendary high school player in Kentucky, but he's lived up to that hype so far.
Yeah, I absolutely love him. I loved his dad when he played at Kentucky, but I think this kid's a little bit better than his dad.
I'll tell Jeff you said that.
Yeah, exactly. Dillingham, the other freshman, boy, he can score the basketball like anybody. He did not play at Kentucky. Was he sick, hurt, suspended? What was the deal there?
He had a stomach virus. He didn't play in the Arkansas game. Yeah, Rob is fun to watch because you never know what you're going to get with Rob. He can make a spectacular play, bury a deep 3, and then next time down the floor he'll throw a crazy pass that sails out of bounds. So you never know. He kind of tries Cal's patience. from time to time. Cal has said that, you can't hold him back. But he gives him like 2 or 3 crazy plays a half, and after that, then he's got to come out. But yeah, he's and he comes off the bench. That's the thing. Reed Shepherd and Rob Dillingham come off the bench. DJ Wagner and Antonio Reeves start. Justin Edwards also start. He's another highly touted freshman. He's really struggled. He hasn't been able to find his gear so far as a college player. But yeah, Dillingham's a lot of fun to watch. He's instant offense off the bench. If he plays under control, he's a really good player.
So, Kentucky, everybody knows the history of Kentucky basketball. What kind of pressure, or is there any pressure from the alumni or whatever for Cal to bring home a national title?
Oh, yeah, there's always pressure. It's Kentucky. It's always pressure to bring home a national title. And, the last 3 years have not been good. The COVID year, they went 9-16. The year after that, they were a number 2 seed in the tournament, but they lost to 15th seed St. Peter's in the first round. And then last year, they didn't make it out the first weekend either when they lost to Kansas State in the second round. So, yeah, there's a lot of pressure. People in Kentucky, they love the freshmen. They love having talented players, but they're not crazy about the one and done, especially the older fans. But Cal went through the transfer portal the last couple of years. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but he didn't get the results he wanted. Like I said earlier, he's kind of gone back to the old formula of relying heavily on really talented freshmen. And you and I were talking before it came on. Cal made the comment before the season that the last couple of years they were good, but not Kentucky good. I think he's got Kentucky good players this year, and I think they'll do well in the tournament. But we'll see. We got a little ways to go before we get to that.
Yeah, you talked about the transfer portal. Obviously, kids have been transferring quite a bit in basketball the last few years, and now football's out of control. Talked about Trey Mitchell. I think he's played at a different school every year he's been in college.
Just about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what team he's going to root for once he's in or overseas playing or retired. Just talk about him. He's a really good basketball player, though. He's kind of that older guy. Do they just lean on his experience?
Yeah, definitely. And he can do a little bit of everything. He's a good passer. He's a good rebounder. He kind of got lost in the Arkansas game. He had a double-double in the Arkansas game. The funny thing about Trey Mitchell, well, it's not really funny. Cal and Bob Huggins are really good friends. They make the joke that when Bob Huggins had his heart attack a few years ago, when he woke up in the hospital, there was Cal standing over top of him because it happened in Pittsburgh, and Cal had family in Pittsburgh who let him know what had happened. And then here Bob Huggins, unfortunately got the DUI, was fired or resigned, whatever you want to call it, West Virginia. So that opened players up to the portal. Trey Mitchell was one of his players. Trey is also from Pittsburgh. And Trey ended up in Kentucky. Cal doesn't like it when people say that Trey fell in his lap, but he fell in his lap right before the season started or back in the summer, and he's been invaluable to him this year. But like I said, he can do a little bit of everything. And they started out the season, Chamber, they had a bunch of injuries. 2 of their 7-footers were hurt. Aaron Bradshaw and Ugana Onyenso were both hurt and couldn't play. And then Big Z, as we like to call him, the kid from Croatia, he wasn't eligible yet. So Trey Mitchell had to play a lot of 5, and he did at the 5 spot, and he did a really good job there. I'd hate to think where they would be if they didn't have Trey Mitchell.
Talking about Big Z, I know when he got eligible, I forgot what game that was. I know it was a home game. He came in and was, behind the back, running the break, knocking down threes. Kind of I don't say caught people off guard, but that's what they saw and how talented he is. But it seems like the last 2 games, he's kind of got pushed around quite a bit from a physicality standpoint. And I don't feel like he's been put in the game as much. Is that Cal said anything about that? He's got to learn to get a little more physical to play in the conferce.
Right. The Georgia game was the game where he played. Yeah, he got eligible that day. And then later in the day, played in the Georgia game. As you mentioned, one of the first times he touched the ball, he threw a behind-the-back pass to Antonio Reeves, who Antonio Reeves, who hit a 3. Yeah, since then he hasn't played a whole lot. He really got pushed around at South Carolina. South Carolina's got some big guys with B.J. Mack, Josh Gray. They really kind of had their way with him. And then he didn't play much at all against Arkansas. The line on him, what they're saying is he's got a lot to learn, especially on the defensive end. Because he has been practicing, but he's had some bouts of sickness that kept him out of practice. They let him go home over Christmas. They felt like he was homesick. We were wondering if he would come back from Croatia because he wasn't eligible yet. He's obviously got a lot of talent, got a lot of skill. He can shoot from outside, but his body and his awareness is not quite there yet. So they've gone back to kind of bringing him along slowly. I think he's more apt to play in a game tonight where you got both teams are going to want to get the ball up and down the floor than he will then maybe, again, say Saturday when Tennessee comes to town. Tennessee's obviously got some big guys as well. So I expect him to play, to see more minutes tonight, but maybe not as many minutes on Saturday.
Yeah. Text on the Titan More text line. It's a football question. It's from Billy. He says, John, how close was Mark Stoops to taking the A&M job?
Depends on who you talk to. Some people claim, he wasn't it wasn't that close. Other people claim that had he gotten the offer and had been a solid offer, he would have gone. Other people think he really kind of got an offer, but Texas A&M pulled the offer when they made when the reaction from the fans and the boosters. And when we first heard about it that morning or got wind of it that it was serious that morning, I said all along, they're not going to hire Mark Stoops. Texas A&M fans are not going to go for Mark Stoops. I think he's done a great job at Kentucky, but he won't be good enough for them. And he's a Jimbo Fisher guy. They just fired Jimbo. Are they really going to hire Mark Stoops? Then it got to where later in the day and that night, like, he's leaving. He's going to Texas A&M. But whether. Of course, Mark, his coaches do. Mark likes to play it that he decided to stay at Kentucky. Whether that's really why he decided to stay at Kentucky, we're not for sure, but we'll see. But I think there are some people who fear that Mark thinks that he's taken this as far as he can go, and if he could give better opportunity, that he would take it. But he'll be the coach next year. We know that.
Yeah, and your quarterback supposedly next year is going to be Brock Vandergriff, the transfer from Georgia. I'm not sure. I can't remember the kid that transferred in there last year from NC State, what his name was, but
yeah,
he played well at times and not so well at times. Is Brock going to be the quarterback, you think, unless somebody beats him out?
Oh, no, Brock's going to be the quarterback. Yeah, Devin Leary came in here from North Carolina State, kind of had up and down year, didn't quite match the numbers that he had, his best numbers at North Carolina State. Of course, had Will Levis before that, who came in from Penn State transfer. Liam Cohen came in from the NFL as his offensive coordinator. Then he left for a year. Will's second year before he went to the Titans. Then Liam came back last year with Leary. They feel like Brock Vandagriff fits more the Will Levis type. He's a big, strong kid with a strong arm. The people down in Georgia tell me that he was neck and neck with Carson Beck during the fall camp, but that Kirby went with Carson and Beck played so well, Brock barely made it on the field. They feel like he's got a lot of potential. The only thing about him, he played at a small school at Georgia, so he didn't get maybe the top competition in Georgia in high school, but he's got those traits which kind of reminds them of Will Levis when Levis came in. He had those traits, but he hadn't played that much at Penn State. They used him more as a running quarterback. So, but they feel like that Brock Vandagriff, they're hoping, they have their fingers crossed that he's going to be a Will Levis type player.
All right, last thing for you here, John. This is a text on the Titan More text line from George. He says, does Kentucky spend more money in the NIL on basketball or football?
Well, I don't know the exact figures, but I know that's a point kind of going back and forth about Cal made the comment, a couple of years ago that Kentucky's a basketball school, and Mark took exception to that. He tweeted out, the basketball school thought we played at the SEC. So that kind of goes back and forth between the two. I know that is one thing, and Mark's been public about that he's been concerned about the NIL, especially in the SEC, where you're going up against, so many football powerhouses. They've worked on things to try to be more competitive and do better in NIL. But I'm guessing even though there are fewer players in basketball, the basketball players may get a little more money than football. But I don't think there's a vast difference.
Ray had a question here on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing. How does Kentucky always get the best players? I think it's their history. Cal being a former NBA coach, all the players he sent to the NBA. That's why people go to Kentucky.
Right, absolutely. I mean, these kids, Kentucky fans want obviously the banners and the tradition, and that's important. But for the players, they want to go to the NBA. They want to go to the next level, and Cal has a track record of getting players there, and not just getting there, but having, being very successful. To me, a more recent example is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. When he came to Kentucky, he was, considered to be a good player, but he wasn't really considered maybe as a top 10 type recruit. And look at the career he's had in the NBA. You look at Tyrese Maxey, there's all kinds. Karl Anthony Towns of the Timberwolves. I mean, there's just example after example. Cal likes to throw out the number of all the earnings that his former players have in the pros. He claims it's up in the billions, and it probably is. But I mean, that resonates with those kids, and I think that's one of the reasons they come to Kentucky.
Speaking of all those guys he sent there, is there one guy that you've covered that you're like, man, that guy is going to just dominate the NBA, but he didn't?
Whoa, that's a really good question. Off the top of my head, yeah, probably Brandon Knight. Brandon Knight had a pretty good, he had a decent career starting out, but then he kind of faded away. I mean, they made the Final Four in 2011, Cal's second year, and he pretty much carried them. He was their best player, top scorer, hit some big shots in the NCAA tournament. He didn't quite have the NBA career that I thought he would have. But those are kind of few and far between. Most of them, there's some guys here that I didn't think, they'll be an okay NBA player. It turned out to be much better in the NBA than I thought. But by and large, he's the first one that pops into my head.
Yeah. John, good stuff as always. Let everybody know how they can follow you on Twitter and read about the Big Blue Nation.
You can follow me on Twitter at John Clay IV. You can check us out online on Kentucky.com. Of course, we have the print edition. We still have a print edition, Shane, down here at the Herald Leader, but follow us on Kentucky.com.
Thanks for your time, John. Have a great day, my man.
Thanks for having me on, Shane. Always great to talk to you.
Yep, that's John Clay. Join us on the Titan War Hotline. Take our last time out. Come back and wrap up this Wednesday edition. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Duffield Home Improvements for your window, siding, and roofing needs. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Silverback Concrete is a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structures with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by it. Again, Gators play Kentucky tonight, 8 o'clock, or is it 8:30? I'm not sure. But Alabama travels to Georgia. They lead the SEC right now at 6-1. And then you got several teams at 5-2, Tennessee, South Carolina, Auburn, and Kentucky. Ole Miss moves up to 5-3 after their win at home against Mississippi State. And then Missouri plays Arkansas, two teams struggling mightily They play this evening as well. Johnny Cromwell on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumber, says, QB, I played and coached football for 20 years here in Baltimore, and people are crazy and think they know how to coach. It's not as easy as you think to call plays. Well, Johnny, appreciate you chiming in from Baltimore. Hopefully the weather's there. They're okay. Let's see here. Andy says, is there one thing that your dad stressed as your coach that you still live by today? That's a great question. Well, I think the one thing, not so much my dad, but what I learned from Coach Spurrier, and he used to tell this all the time: good things are going to happen, bad things are going to happen during the course of a game. Just keep playing, because like I said, I have never seen a team play a perfect game in football. Now, you throw a perfect game in baseball, but have you ever seen a team play a perfect game? No, good things are going to happen, bad things are going to happen. I mean, just look at the NFC Championship game. So many good things happen for the Lions in the first half. Tons of bad things happen in the second half. The 49ers could have just folded it up, called it a day. They kept playing, and good things eventually happened. So that's a good question, Andy. I need to think more about that one. I got distracted there for a second. Barone says, O-line, special teams, and defense are the three biggest areas Florida needs to fix. I agree. Yeah, it would be interesting to know. I mean, Kentucky's back. They have to be paying more money out of their NIL, their collectives to basketball. There was always thoughts that they were doing NIL a long time ago in basketball, which they probably were. But I bet they spend more money in basketball than they do in football there. They love their basketball in Lexington for sure. Tomorrow is Thursday. We'll have Brent Beard, a college football analyst, on. And hopefully the Gators can find a way to upset. They're only a 5.5-point underdog. I thought it would be a lot more than that. So a lot of people think Florida matches up. We do match up well with Kentucky. No question about that. Can we handle the atmosphere and get off to a good start? That will be the key to beating these guys up there. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Again, I want to thank JC and John Clay for joining us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.